Welcome to another Books and Things with Tom. And tonight I'm proceeding with the third of a series of programs, and trying to educate people about heroin addiction. We're losing too many people to this horrible drug. Please watch, take notes, and if you see someone who needs help, please help them to stay alive. We're trying to get it off the street, which I'm going to be next to impossible to do. But today's guest is Lisa Johns, who is a founding member of Community Speaks Out, and Ken Richards, who is a Community Speaks Out Board of Director, and he's also Inspector, Connecticut Chief State's Attorney's Office, and Cold Case Bureau. Is it cold in there? Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hi.
I had seen the story on Facebook where a woman buried her third child due to heroin, and it got me so upset that I said I could do something. You know, with the number of people that I have watching the show, maybe I can spread the word, and that's how I decided to get everybody on here. We had Jack Malone from SCAD on the first week, and then last week was Shine
a Light on Heroin.
Shine a Light on Heroin with
Krista.
And it's good. You know, they're both excellent
Yeah.
shows. All right, and that's why I wanted to get you people on to find out what Community Speaks Out is all about. Who would like to tell me that?
Well, Ken's the one that started with Shine a Light on Heroin first and introduced
really?
me. So
Yeah, I kind of decided that I needed to get my hands dirty as well. I mean, I've been in law enforcement for 35 years, so
Wow.
that was one way to get my hands dirty, but we're not arresting our way out of this one. It's
No.
just not going to happen. So we needed to get creative. We needed to think about something else. So at the time, Shine a Light on Heroin had a vigil out in Pawcatuck. That kind of rolled into reaching out to Tammy and Joe Delacruz, who had gone out, by that time had been public about their son's addiction. And from there, we decided that we needed to make it a multifaceted. We needed to do education, but we also needed to actually physically help people, hold them by the hand and get them into treatment, work with families. So at one of our forums we did in New London, Lisa came, sat in the audience, and said, I have to participate. And that's kind of how that came.
So you worked with Jim Spellman.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Now that was, so really, the Community Speaks Out started on its own, and Shine a Light on Heroin started on its own, but the missions are overlapping.
And they're two different communities.
Yes.
So you really,
Yep.
it's a good idea. And you came on,
I came on. So my son passed away 2 years ago, and I grew up with Ken. And he ended up, he was the police sergeant in New London for narcotics, and during which the time my son was struggling. But we always kept in touch once in a while, but he ended up becoming friends with my son. And unfortunately, I had to call Ken to break his door down to find him. So that, from there, I think fueled Ken's desire to want to do more, and then invited me to go to one of their Shine a Light on Heroin's meetings in Westerly. So I did go, and from there, we just, it just grew, and now we have our own nonprofit, and we still try to collaborate, with each other. But it's grown. It's all over the state, and we have traveled.
how many members?
Well, we have 12 members right now.
12.
Yep.
Okay.
And a group of other people that help out
Yeah.
from time to time with different things, different projects.
Yeah.
It's everyone. I think the beauty of it is everyone brings something a little different to the table. Lisa here is very good at convincing people to take that step, to agree to go somewhere. I'll give you a good example. We went up to Jewett City for a march. It was Matt's mission. Matt had also died. And while we were setting up the table, a young man approached and said, I need help. Lisa took him over to the side, to a park bench, got on the phone, called his mother, got his mother down there, and by 5:30 that night, he was on a plane to a longer-term recovery center in Florida.
Oh, wow.
So that's hands-on, that's actual helping. Now, I've tried to do a few of those.
Yeah.
I usually leave it to the moms. They seem to be better at it than I am.
Yeah.
You know, I know what my role is. My role is to maybe run interference on a court case or a probation, so that while somebody's getting treatment, their situation doesn't get worse. Maybe to logistically help out finding a job for somebody, or finding a job for somebody that's just coming out of recovery, or finding a place to live for somebody. So we all do things a little differently. Other people don't want to do that kind of thing, but are very good at running our web page, or helping to set up the finances, or organizing events and that type of thing. We also do quite a bit of public education. We've probably touched, I don't know where the thousands and thousands of students at Stonington, at Fitch, at New London. I'm going to leave some out. East Lyme, Ledyard,
Old Lyme,
Berlin High School,
Windsor Cadets, I mean, with thousands and thousands of kids.
where we've done both in school and out of school for the parents afterwards.
Yeah.
We got one coming up at St. Bernard's at the end of the month that we're going to do.
Yes, it's on the 31st, and we're doing student assemblies during the day, and then the evening, it's going to be at 6:30, and we created a forum with Ken and I, a young woman in recovery, and also a doctor to explain the processes of the brain and how it is a true disease, and people need to
Yeah.
understand that.
Well, it's like alcoholics. It's not, they're drunks, when it's actually a disease.
Yeah.
And the same
Yep.
thing with narcotics.
Yeah, we're making some progress on mental illness, and people are starting to look at mental illness more like getting diabetes. They're trying to look at we need to get to that point and then beyond with drug addiction.
I think the big thing is money. Once you can get doctors and people interested in it, that they can make a buck.
Well, you never want to
it gets
blame.
bigger.
The problem's too complex to ever blame any one group.
No, I didn't mean to do that,
But many of the young people we work with, many of them, I'm going to say probably more than half of them, started on prescription medications.
Yeah.
Some of them prescribed to other people, but some of them prescribed, like in Lisa's son's case, to him. And so I think doctors need to come along a lot farther as well and have the conversation with their patients. And there's really a rush to move the cases through, and sometimes we can have that conversation. I had a meniscus tear. I wanted to talk about alternative medications, but really that wasn't discussed, and it was strange. My son just had his wisdom teeth pulled. They pretty much refused to talk to me about alternatives to the script they were going to hand me for a narcotic.
You'll make money on alternatives.
I guess not. So, it's really a multifaceted, complicated problem that's not going to have any one answer. And why is it taking off? There's a couple reasons why the problem's taking off. It's more prescriptions being written, probably more to young people as well.
Yeah.
But it's also the heroin is not what it used to be.
No, it's bad.
Yeah, highly addictive.
Yeah.
And it used to be, it was, when I was doing narcotics enforcement, it was probably 8 to 12% pure. Now it's 22 to 24% pure before they even add anything to it.
Oh, my God.
And when they used to add things to it, when I was doing narcotics enforcement, it was benign. It was baby laxatives and that kind of stuff. Now it's synthetic opiates are being added, which makes the margin of error so great, so little rather, that a couple grains is the difference between life and death, and that's why it's happening.
I have a friend whose daughter, she was 30, OD'd on prescription drugs. And then 3 years later, her son OD'd on drugs.
There are people that are more susceptible to a drug addiction, just by the makeup of their body chemistry. So, it stands to reason that sometimes that the potential is there
Yeah.
in some people, where some people are not going to have a problem, can have that shoulder surgery, take a week's worth of OxyContin and not have any ill effects, whereas somebody else, their body's going to start desiring it.
Yeah. Wow.
It's tough.
It is tough. And
So,
your son was how old?
33.
33.
He had an appendectomy in high school, and it changed his life forever.
Really?
And they gave him a prescription Well, as you know, during surgery, you're filled with all these opioids, or opiates, and then they give you a prescription to send home. And after 10 days of home, he was getting sick. I didn't know it was withdrawal. I took him back to the doctors thinking he had an infection or something, and they just said, well, he's slow healing. And they gave him another 10 days, and, you know, the following year he had another surgery on his nose, same instance, like a month's supply of OxyContin.
And the problem is that once those prescriptions run out, maybe you can pay for the OxyContin for a little while.
Yeah.
As much as $30 or more a pill. But then you can't do that anymore. You've already sold your iPad, sold your phone, emptied out your parents' change things, went to the pawn shop with your dad's tools. It's all gone, and then that's when you turn to heroin because it's $5 or $7 a bag.
It's actually only 4 now.
Yeah, cheaper than a 6-pack of beer.
Oh,
So that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's how people make the jump from the prescription, whether they were prescribed it or not, to going into a housing project and buying heroin. Or you can probably get it just about anywhere now, any of the towns. No town is exempt. I mean, we had, was it last year, an overdose in Groton Long Point. Matter of fact, since 2012, there's been 26 overdose deaths in Groton.
Wow.
45 in New London and 49 in Norwich. And I didn't know what your viewership area was. I could have done some other towns too.
It's basically Groton.
Groton, yeah. So 26 people lost their lives here in Groton since 2012 through the first 6 months.
And they say New Haven is like 5 a day.
Yeah. Hartford is going through a problem. Right now, it seems to cycle around it. If you have one, chances are you're going to have some more. So last week, Hartford was having a tough time.
It goes in batches. So whoever has that batch where, and this is really hard, when a person knows that there's an overdose and then there's another overdose, the people that are suffering from the disease wants that
Oh, really?
because it's the good stuff. Unfortunately, you know, and that's where then you have this trickle effect. This drug dealer selling this really strong stuff, and that's what everybody wants.
So in the last year and a half, 2 years, since Community Speaks Out has been kind of together and organized, we've been able to do probably more than 130, 140 interventions. When I do the PowerPoint presentation, I don't even fill in that number because it changes weekly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where we've been able to work with usually families, usually young people, not always, sometimes the age goes up a little bit more, but usually it's the young people and usually it's families. These families, when they find out, are in shock, and they just don't know how to navigate this.
Yeah.
Whether it's insurance, or how to find a place, or
Right.
the fear of sending your loved one out of state because there are longer-term treatment facilities out of state. Connecticut, if you have private insurance, you're out of luck often unless you can afford the $30,000 a month treatment programs that are out there.
Oh, my
Then that's with insurance.
Yeah.
I am currently working with 4 young people right now, and that started, today's Thursday, since Monday.
Really?
4, yes.
So when they say there's treatment for everyone that wants it, there's something.
Yeah.
It might not be the most appropriate thing.
Yeah.
It might not be age appropriate. We might be able to get them into detox, which is usually a 5-day program. But when they come out of detox, we have a great deal of difficulty finding that follow-up. And then, you got to work a continuum. There's the detox. That's the immediate thing. But then you need something on the other end of it. And it's different for every person. Every person's trip into drug addiction was different. So everyone's way out of it is going to be a little different too. But when we're dealing with young people that haven't been addicted for very long, we find, and we're not experts, we're peer support. That's what we do. We don't pretend to be mental health or addiction professionals. But we have experiences now, quite a few of them, maybe 140. And when it's a young person that hasn't been using that long, getting out of the environment, getting somewhere residential seems to have the best success rate.
Now, SCAD, is that a detox?
Good.
They have their 5-day detox, and then they have their follow-up care at Lebanon Pines, and it's a really good program. It's anywhere from 45 to 90 days.
It's one of the longer ones in the state.
It is. but we need more programs that have that stature.
Yeah.
And Connecticut is falling behind, and we need more.
And nobody wants them
Rehab.
next door either.
Well, well, no, but I mean, the thing is, Lebanon Pines is away from everything. It's private, they have really good care.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be on a city street. A rehab does not have to be on a city street. And in all honesty, all the ones that I went to go look at, so I could give some recommendations, and we went to New Hampshire, I've been to Florida looking at these facilities, and most of them are away from everything. They need that seclusion. They don't need that distraction from a gas station or,
There'll be a time where they have to integrate back into
but
real
not-
life, and even then, there has to be support. We don't have enough sober housing, and the sober housing that is out there is not of the greatest quality.
I just read that.
Yeah, there's very few really good ones out there. SCAD runs a couple of them, but they have limited number of beds.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. There needs to be a plan that's crafted for the person, because everyone's going to recover differently.
Yeah.
Some people, medicated assisted treatment is the way to go, the methadones and the Suboxones. For some people, they're going to stay away from that, and maybe something like a Vivitrol, which is a blocker, is more appropriate. Again, that's not decisions for us to make. We just need to provide the information and the connection to the providers so that you have a full palette of choices when you're choosing.
So if a parent sees that his or her child is hooked on drugs, they would contact you.
They certainly can.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have a lot of resources. We also, can do the interventions. We speak to the parents, have the child or adult, whoever it is, suffering there as well. Just give them the information. It's not like you see on TV. It's not this dramatic thing. We don't say this is your only chance, because you have many chances in life. So we give them the resources, different places for detoxes and follow-up care for rehabs, depending on insurance, where we can get them. If there's a waiting list, where there are, sober living and intensive outpatient programs and things of that nature. So we do that follow-up care. We stay, in contact with the family. I mean, I'm still in contact with families from like a year and a half ago.
Wow.
And they're in recovery and real successful.
We've also been able to take some financial barriers out of the way. I mean, we don't have a big pot of money. We have a small pot of money that we've been able to raise through various things, softball tournament and different fundraisers, hair cutting event. And we've been able to pay for some travel where maybe they haven't been able to afford an airline ticket to get to the rehab in Florida that we made arrangements for.
Yeah.
We've been maybe some co-pays, a couple weeks or a few weeks in a sober house until the job paycheck starts kicking in.
Yeah.
Little things like that we're able to help out with. There shouldn't be any barriers. So that's what we try to do. We try to provide the resources, but we also try to, if a barrier jumps up and is going to prevent somebody from getting the help they deserve, then we're going to work hard to take those barriers down.
Jack had mentioned that he doesn't care if you got insurance or not. You get in that hospital, they'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, right now, we're having a little problem with insurance. The main thing they're saying is lack of medical necessity. That, and I believe that they've figured out that a dead addict is cheaper than a live one.
Yeah, true.
And that's unfortunate.
If you could keep them alive and sell their own prescriptions, that'd be one thing.
Now, so we're trying to work at all fronts. We're trying to work the access to treatment portion of it. Sober houses. We're doing something in New London where we're working with the City of New London and the Human Services Director over there, Jeannie Milstein, to try to voluntarily certify sober houses in New London. If you get this certified sober house designation, then what happens is you get the referrals from the City of New London, from Sound Community Services and other providers. You become the preferred sober house so that you keep all your beds full, and maybe people come there instead of going somewhere else. Because right now, it's very difficult to regulate sober houses because they have protections under ADA and the Fair Housing Act. So we have to try to more carrot than stick to get them up to standard. There's a lot to this.
Yeah,
There
it
is.
just keeps growing.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've been a police officer for 35 years, and I don't think we're going to arrest our way out of this. I don't think that this is going to be this. Do we need to continue to attack the people distributing it? Do we continue to go after the dealers? Yeah, unfortunately, that's a necessary evil right now. I look forward to the day that we don't have to.
Yeah.
Any progress that we make is going to be on the demand side. We're going to have to reduce the demand for it, and that's doing it a lot of different ways. I mean, we don't. If there's an idea out there, we'd run with it. We had a medication take-back event where cooked hamburgers and hot dogs for people, and they could come and dump off their meds. They didn't even have to get out of the car if they didn't want to. But that's where a lot of these are coming from. A lot of addictions started on a drug that's in grandma or grandpa's medicine cabinet.
That's right.
Also, I think educating at a young age. So we go into the middle schools and we go into the high schools and we do educational forums and assemblies, and we have to hit it early. So this generation coming up, they will know the dangers of the opiates and the opioids out there. You don't have to have that prescription medication when you get your tooth pulled.
Yeah.
There are other options. So if we can educate, and we've done hundreds of these speakings all across Connecticut. And so when we do that educational piece, we have kids come to us and say, my brother, my sister, my mom, or my dad, can you help us?
When Lisa tells her story, we often leave a large portion of the room in tears.
Yeah.
And they tell us, this is something I'm going to remember. We talk a little bit about education they've had in the past, and they say, yeah, I remember my DARE officer. I remember his favorite color. I remember he had a dog named Lucky. I don't remember really what he was trying to teach me. This is something, this is real life. This is in your face. This is.
What happened to DARE?
It's still done in some places. My argument with DARE has always been it was canned, and you had to teach the same thing in every community. So Stonington isn't Hartford, and Hartford isn't New York City, but yet you were supposed to teach this curriculum in every.
We had one in Legend. She was great.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking.
No, and she was a great person.
Yeah,
I don't know what she was teaching.
No,
because I never did it.
she was. She's fantastic. Liz.
Liz.
And it's not. It's good for some things. I think the relationship between the police officer and the child is a really great thing to develop.
That
Very
was
important.
so obvious, because you go up to the fair up there.
Yeah.
Liz be walking around and everybody, hi, Mrs. whatever her name was, and da-da-da, and give her hugs. And I thought, this is great.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with a cop on the corner.
Yeah.
I knew the cop. He knew me. I never got in trouble.
But it wasn't the best way to teach drug prevention, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the drugs today are nothing like they were back when the DARE program was in all of the schools. It was marijuana and alcohol.
LSD was the worst.
Yeah, but now we have this that people are dropping like flies. And
Yeah. I just want to run over so
Sure.
everyone knows the magnitude of the problem. So in 2012, 357 people died from accidental drug deaths in Connecticut. It's projected this year to be 880. 888, almost
God.
900. The percentage of heroin deaths actually is projected to hold pretty steady from 2015 to 2016, heroin alone.
Wow.
When you add fentanyl to being involved in the deaths,
Yeah.
it went from 188 in 2015 involving fentanyl in any drug to 446. So more than double
Yeah.
in a very short, a 1-year period of time. So right now, we could be making progress if it wasn't for these synthetic
Yeah.
opiates that are being put in.
They're trying to get ahead of you.
That's right. It is a marketing strategy. When you do talk to some of these drug dealers and you ask them, fentanyl, didn't you know that you ran the risk of killing somebody? So I have to put it in to compete. It has to be in there to compete. I can't compete with just regular old heroin. So we haven't turned the corner. That's what the point I want to make. That
And they put their own little emblem on the bag.
Yep.
we have not turned the corner on this, and it has a lot to do with the synthetics. And that's just fentanyl. There's worse stuff coming down the road. Other parts of the country have already seen something that would be 100 times more powerful than fentanyl. And again, the margin of error is so
It's
great.
called carfentanil, and it's an elephant tranquilizer.
And there's one even behind that that's supposed to be even
God.
worse, so.
W12.
Yeah. You're staying up on your facts, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
And doesn't the dealer realize he's killing his own business?
Well, there's a lot of laws being introduced up at the Capitol, and among them are making it easier here in Connecticut to prosecute drug dealers that deal to somebody and have them die. Connecticut's manslaughter laws are written in such a way that it really doesn't lend to prosecution. So if we can change those, make some changes in the laws,
Yeah.
then we'll be able to more effectively go after drug dealers who sell something that kills somebody.
Wow. Yeah, you gotta get it off the street. And it's just,
It's got to be the demand side. It's not
Yeah.
going to be enforcement. I mean, we got to keep pounding them, but it's not going to be enforcement.
See, the heroin is natural. The fentanyl is synthetic. So we can get it away from Afghanistan, Mexico, whatever, but it's being created in a lab. And they can get it from China, easy.
and they actually think they're doing a good job out there. And it's selling, God, they must be making a fortune on it.
Some do, some don't. I mean, many people that sell also have their own drug addiction, so that's what's going right back
Yeah.
into their own addiction. Which is why I have mixed emotions about charging somebody with murder, because some people are dealing with their own.
Yeah.
So you need to consider that as well.
But they're willing to kill people for the sake of their
Yep.
drugs. So there's, it happened to my son, so, I know, some dealers, and they don't care that people are dying, and they're still dealing, they're not caught yet. And, they have no regard, so I don't feel sorry for
And they're
those.
making a lot of money. I could care less.
Right.
Now, I got a couple of minutes left. You mentioned jail diversion.
Yeah, we are doing a program in New London, and it looks like it's going to get off the ground, where there will be somebody actually doing some screenings of people being arraigned on crimes in the New London lower level court. And there will be a direct conduit to treatment instead of prosecution for certain people under certain conditions. I mean, the career criminal isn't going to be eligible for this, obviously. It'll be those people that have their first few larcenies on their record because they shoplifted to support their habit. And if we just prosecute them and put them on probation, we're not really going to necessarily help them. We're just going to push the problem down the road until we incarcerate them. So there's a diversion program that's in the works in New London. Sound Community Services, the Public Defender's Office, the Prosecutor's Office, the Division of Criminal Justice are working on that, Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, to kind of help do an assessment right there and to see so that's a great project.
And to make a donation, can we have that information up there? Thank you.
Yep, it's right on the
Community Speaks
website.
Out.
CommunitySpeaksOut.org. We are a 501c3, not-for-profit.
Tax
And
deductible.
tax-deductible contribution. It goes directly, we don't have any employees, so it's not like there's administrative costs. It goes directly to helping people.
That's great. Or you can contact Ken or Lisa, and they'll be happy to give you whatever information you need, or call me and I'll put you in touch with one of them. It's a great program, and they're doing a lot of good, and I'm hoping people will understand what's going on. If you missed the first couple of shows, they're on sec-tv.org, and it will be in there in this YouTube. Just click on the YouTube, and you'll be able to see any of the programs. This one will be on Tuesday night, I think, Monday or Tuesday, but it's going to be on the air tonight at 9 o'clock for the Connecticut viewers. It's just been exciting. It's been very educational for me because I really didn't know what was going on. I know people dying from drugs, but it's nice to know that you got such great programs going to try to help.
I think we're looking at it from all angles, and that's the only way you're going to win.
Yes, you got to, and try to help these people.
Also, if anybody is interested out there of having some sort of assembly in their school or any kids watching, they can go to their teachers or their principal and have them contact us. We can do an assembly and educational forum during the day and in the evening.
Same with civic groups and that type of thing, Rotaries, Lions Clubs. More than happy to talk to them as well.
Good. Maybe I'll have you out to New London Lions.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
I'm the president.
sounds great.
Tomorrow night, January 27th, the Pawcatuck VFW is having our first international dinner, which will be an Italian night. We're having a pasta bar. You pick your pasta, you pick your sauce, and you pick your toppings, and they cook it right there for you. It takes no time at all. And this is originally from Rafters Restaurant in Westerly, which is now closed, but the owner's daughter, Sandy, is the one that's going to be doing this for us tomorrow night from 5 to 7. So, if you're hungry, come on down because we got plenty of food. And I'd like to thank my guests tonight. You guys are really fantastic. I really appreciate it. Thank you,
Thank
Lisa.
you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And how many years were you with New London?
25 with New London and 10 with the Chief State's Attorney's Office.
Wow.
I started when I was 10. No, when I was 19.
It's nice to be able to have a TV show to be able to broadcast this stuff out and get it out there. And we have, and anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching, and contact me at santostom@comcast.net, and I'll see you next week. You should be reading, especially on these cold nights. See you next week. Thank you. Again, thank you.